we set out to make a movie that would appeal to a broad audience, you know, and you know, the audience that had come to see the Bourne movies, and obviously, you know, that audience would expect certain things from Matt and I, and I think, you know, the things they'd expect are foot to the floor action, you know, adrenaline. I think also, you know, strong kind of moral hero, you know, great part for Matt. A great story that feels like it's ripped from the headlines, strong contemporary themes. And I think if you put that package together, you know, hopefully we've made a movie that will appeal to that audience. I hope so. You know, so that just means you have to really, really, you know, craft those big action sequences and make sure the adrenaline's there literally from the first frame. You know, I'm a great believer in starting films, you know, when you hit the audience right between the eyes and, you know, keep going. And that's what we've tried to do. It was an incredibly exciting movie to make. It was, you know, it's hard work, obviously all movies are, but it was just fantastically exhilarating to, you know, to make a big movie set in the real world, you know, with all the sort of thrilling big action set pieces that you'd expect, but also kind of wrestling with a, you know, one guy looking for the truth in a dark world. That's a kind of great premise for a thriller. And, you know, if you've got Matt Damon doing that and getting himself into more and more danger and how's he going to get out of it, then you've got a chance. It really began when Brian Helgeland, who wrote the screenplay, and myself, we were talking about, you know, how to make this movie, and it always seemed to us that the whole hunt for weapons of mass destruction, you know, was an incredibly interesting world because it was filled with kind of intrigue and conspiracy and paranoia and what was the story there and how did it really go down, and also incredibly dramatic because these small teams, you know, went across the border in great danger and at huge speed to try and find the weapons, and of course when they found they weren't there, that gave us our central character of Chief Miller, who's, you know, in charge of one of those units. And, you know, when he doesn't find the weapons, it's like, well, how come? And that, of course, gives you the one guy against the world. He's trying to find the truth in the face of all the obstacles and the lying and the deceit, and slowly he becomes aware of this mysterious source, Magellan, who's been at the heart of the intelligence about weapons of mass destruction. And, you know, that as he hunts him down, so the dangers start, and that really creates the premise for the whole action thriller aspect of it. It's just a great privilege to make films that an audience likes, you know, as we were lucky enough to do with the Bourne movies. And you have to treat it as a privilege, and so I think what we've tried to do here is find a way of telling a new story. It's not Jason Bourne, obviously he's a real guy in a real world, he's Chief Miller. But it's myself and Matt and the team that made those movies, and so we've tried to imbue it with all the same, you know, foot to the floor, adrenaline, attack and the big action set pieces. I mean, that chase at the end of this movie, it must be 20 minutes long. I mean, it's certainly the longest, biggest action set piece that I've ever directed. But obviously still continue with that sort of strong contemporary flavour that I think Matt and I like, and I think our audiences like. And I think if you come to this, you know, audiences want, I think, movies that excite them because they know what they're going to get. In this case, a lot of action and, you know, Matt Damon in a big action role. But they also want to be surprised. They don't want just the same old thing, you know. So you've got to judge the sort of story that you're going to tell. It's got to be a great story. You've got to have a lot of action, and you've got to give a central character, you know, Chief Miller, Matt Damon, who can take your audience on that journey, and then by the time it's done, you want your audience to feel that they've had a really worthwhile experience in the theatre, which I hope and believe that we've given them.